Alright guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is D-Free, and for today's video we're going to be taking a look at the community's responses and the community's reaction to the LF Vegito Blue Zenkai Awakening. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe. This is not something I typically do. I know some of my friends, like I know Truth does it, I think Goresh does them a few times. Anyway, some of my friends do these type of videos and just kind of get the feeling from the community. And if you guys want to see me do these, obviously from a little bit of a different perspective here on Twitter and stuff, please be sure to let me know in the comments and also show your support on the video by hitting that thumbs up. I'm not setting a goal, but if the video does well with reception and watch time and stuff like that, analytically, we will come back and do more. But at the bare minimum, there is two, because this is the first one we're going to talk about Vegito Blue, and then in the second one, we will return and we'll talk about the anniversary. I have hundreds of responses here from players on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter for the next time we go ahead and do one of these as well. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. All right, here we go. So if you have been keeping up with the content on the channel, which if you haven't, shame on you, I'm just playing. Anyways, if you've been keeping up with the content on the channel, you've heard my opinions already. Long story short, I think Vegito is an incredible character. I think he's really good. I think that he fulfills his purpose. Let me say what I mean by that. I don't think he's the best blue on his teams. Okay, Trunks is a little debatable. It just depends what you want to do. Trunks is a little more defensive, late game, stuff like that, while Vegito is a little more viable early game, stuff like that. But it just kind of depends, I guess, for you on your star level. Like if you got this guy somehow at 14 stars, you got a 2-star Trunks. Well, damn. Maybe that even applies to Ultra Gogeta. But I think Trunks anywhere beyond 7 stars is just better, no matter the situation, personally. And I don't really think it's a competition between him and Ultra Gogeta, because there was no way they were going to make this guy better than, you know, a summonable Ultra. It just wasn't going to happen. But they did hold back a good bit on his kit. We'll talk about that through various means. And again, there's nothing wrong with being the second best blue character for your teams, and probably the best blue for God Key as well. But nonetheless, there's nothing wrong with that. And really, if you follow Zenkais have been much maligned over the last year or so, because my general feeling on that is the community was so upset with Zenkais and complained a lot about Zenkais for good reason, right? They were so powerful and they were extremely premium for a while. Then they became cheaper and cheaper to the point where they're free now. And the freeness kind of coincided with the Zenkai power scaling down as well. I don't think it was because they're free in particular. Maybe that was a little bit of it. But the game shifted from Zenkais being the best characters in the game to then being second options on their teams, right? And they wait until they have a better first option to even allow for these characters to Zenkai, which is why they felt comfortable doing Vegito Blue's Zenkai finally, because obviously Ultra Gogeta is the one you're going to use in most cases over him. That being said, you know, Gohan was the best character in the game for a very long time. But after we complained about it for forever, they shifted. Zenkai stopped getting all the love, stopped being the destroyers of worlds like they were, like when Purple SS3 came out and Android 18 got her Zenkai. Gohan, like I said, 9-10 months ago, oh my god. And then the 1% characters have gotten better since then. The LF characters have gotten incredibly better since then. We now have Ultras, to the point where Zenkai struggle to even be among the top 10 characters in the game at this point. So that's kind of how the game has shifted, for better reason. So let's see what the community is saying. Everyone has different opinions. I think some people wanted him to be busted to spice the meta and for the nostalgia, and some didn't want that personally. I think he should have been better, considering he's an anniversary LF, getting his Zenkai in another anniversary. Okay, so for the record, I can't go through all of these responses. It's just not possible. This will be an hour-long video, which maybe you like that. Anyways, so I agree. So here's the deal. I briefly talked about it. Vegito Blue got most of what he needs to be relevant again, and relevant just means see play again and not just be somebody that you never see again. He'll be a character you see in matches for a very long time, especially due to the popularity of the character, but he's good enough to be in circulation in PvP among high-tiered play. He's just good enough. He has all the things you would need. The Strike Draw aged really well, the Blast Armor aged really well, the green card is still solid. I mean, the main thing you're missing from his kit, and it's unfortunate, is the fact that he doesn't have access to cover nullification, which, I mean, he does technically. It's on the ultimate, but they weren't going to move it from the ultimate and take it off there and put it on the main. They were going to give him 2 forms of it. If anything, the best thing they could have done would be what they did for Ultra Gogeta, which again, Ultra Gogeta, if you go back and read his kit, they did so many things that were unnecessary. But for Ultra Gogeta to they gave him the ability to nullify endurance for 30 counts. They could have did something similar to give Vegito a little bit of leeway, but you have a character here who largely wants to get a combo started, but kind of just can't. You know, that's just kind of the main thing you're going to hear from most people in this video. But if you can play around that, if that's not a big issue because maybe they can't switch yet or whatever the case is, he is going to do a lot of good burst damage, right? So that's the main gripe most people have with him. I mean, he's got solid stats across the board, all these things. So yeah, I don't disagree, but I think he's aptly judged, well, not judged, but aptly placed in my mind in the game where he's good enough to be in circulation. Vegito's one of the most pitiful excuses for an LF Zenkai, especially one for the 2nd anniversary character. Wow. His last 2 unique abilities literally make up 1. That's how bad it is. You know you screwed up when even Rai has nothing positive to say about them. So I think Rai went off on them. I've been hearing about that. I haven't seen it or read it or whatever, but he went off on them in like a chat or something. It might have been ZVG stream or something. So I don't know. I need to get some context there. Anyways, so pitiful excuses. That's tough, man. So he's not lying, okay? So the thing with Vegito's Zenkai is that, like, if we're keeping everything honest, if we're being completely honest, I have no problems with this character. I don't hate him from 2 years ago. He was annoying, but I don't hate him. You know, I have nothing against him. But, like, seriously, they honestly, genuinely didn't really do much. This key recovery debuff, you won't hear enough about it. I don't think this was here before. It's very good. Very, very good, especially against endurance characters. They'll come back with 1 HP. So there's that. But he already had some. Oh, no, not key recovery. That's the health restoration. But the key recovery was the one that was added, right? So these are good effects on his cards. But they really didn't do much else to him. They didn't even change the way some of his buff works. I don't think they even really extended the buffs. So they just didn't do all that much. And then they added in the Zenkai 3 and Zenkai 6 abilities, which are largely worthless, right? So when 2 allies are defeated, he restores a whopping 15% health because, okay, I guess I'm not mad at that. This here is hilarious. Reduces damage received by 10%, can't be canceled. It's, God forbid they cancel your 10% cut. I'm sure this is going to come in clutch once every 15 times I need this ability to activate. But where's the damage or, you know, anything? Again, I'm going to keep comparing him to the real top dog among blue characters in the top in the game to kind of show you the chasm that exists between this guy and his direct competition on his most popular team, which is Ultra Gogeta. Again, this guy's the best blue for God Key. Trunks is a little bit more comparable, but Ultra Gogeta is the pinnacle of this game. He's not the best in my opinion, but he's right up there in that mix. And Ultra Gogeta, when allies are defeated, he does stupid stuff. When he's your last man, he's getting all that stuff. He's drawing a second ultimate. He's doing neutrality. He's doing no switch. Again, so this is the, and again, this guy was never going to compete with that, but just to show you an example of where this really is worthless. It's not worthless in particular, it's just not anything. So it's not good. And then this unique here, these could have really been won. He's not lying. But this unique here is kind of weird to me. So when you get a Vanish, you get the damage up and the strike card. And by the way, the damage up is almost only for the next 1, maybe 2 cards. Same for the strike card. So this is a largely worthless unique ability. If you get a perfect Vanish, sure, you could maybe cheese this for like, again, 5 counts. That's like 1 extra side step. Like seriously, this is almost nothing. It's might as well not even be here. So they really didn't do much. They didn't add much. The green picked up blast armor. That's like largely it, right? That just shows you though, that 2 things. Shows you what they thought of the character and shows you that he still has the possibility of getting a unique equipment. And I mean, Full Power Frieza got a Zenkai buffer, LF Full Power Frieza got a Zenkai buffer and like 2 unique / plat equips in like a month time span. So like, who's to say Vegito Blue can't get the same thing? But like, the thing is, it shows you that they thought he could be too good or things like that. Also, there's still a window for him to eventually get a plat because he doesn't have that. And things like that. So like they left themselves some wiggle room, and I think that's important for people to understand. While he may not be the best character now, maybe in another couple of months or whatever, when he gets that equipped, especially if they add some crazy effect to it, like they did for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta or Super Saiyan 4 Goku, things like that, Cell. But if they add powerful effects to them, then obviously he'll just take another leap up. So who's to say like he doesn't get cover null added via the equip, right? Like that's a possibility. They can do whatever they want with equips. So yeah, IMO designed well. His base kit was already a problem. They didn't have to do anything, and they did it. However, he is a pretty good overall. Could have given him some kind of tech on green, like Key Restore or Cover Null. Should get a strike card when he enters. So yeah, he's saying basically what I said. I mean, his base kit was good enough, right? When you look at these characters, And this is really what's going to determine the quality of a Zenkai, is how good their base kit is. That and the stats, by the way, because Purple Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, the most recent Zenkai, I believe, before this one, his kit baseline was actually really good, and they added some stuff to this for not bad, if I recall correctly. But his stats were, if I remember, pretty low in relation, so it kind of sucked. I'm not saying he sucks in particular, but he's definitely a little underwhelming to what he could have been. But like this guy got the stat upgrade, which is all he truly needed. I went into this thinking that he would have been fine with a plat and didn't really need a Zenkai. Though I would admit, being 2 years old, based on the simple definition of quote unquote needing a Zenkai, he probably, needed one in terms of just getting the stat upgrade. Stats have changed. So there's that. But like, they didn't really add much to him, and that's fair. But he could have got some more utility. He's not wrong, especially the green card. Let me tell you, the green card feels especially bad because it's really good. Like, the effects are really good, but it would just be 10 times better if it functioned to anything similar to like SS4 Gogeta's green card. It doesn't have to do all the hand destroy stuff. Doesn't his do that? It's just more or less the ability to keep the combo going, because if you land that green card, they're going to insta-switch, okay? They are going to insta-switch. They're going to go to their MUI, which you probably want anyway, or their SS4 Gogeta, and just cancel whatever you're using. You can try to dash in and drop combo. You got to be cute about it, man. And that's... The game has evolved in a way where if you look at the best of the best, they all pretty much do that one thing. That's why I said in the very beginning, that is going to be what you were hearing the most. That does not mean he is bad, okay? It is simply stating that he is missing something, and most people are going to bring it up because it is what it is. Look at the next couple of comments. They say it too. It's the most important thing in the game at this point. It really is. Like, if you get into a match, and in high tier play anyway, above like rank 55, 60, beyond, the matches are literally all determined based on this mechanic, okay? It is what it is. All the characters that are up there have this mechanic. Ultra Gogeta gets it on his green card. Some characters get it spontaneously on entry. A lot of them get it on green or main. Like, it determines the matches. And they weren't going to take it off of his ultimate and move it, like I said, because that's not something they do with Zenkais. They don't even change the goddamn Z abilities on these characters. They really do minimal work. They have really, honestly, on Zenkais for like a really long time. A couple of characters have, went through the cracks a little bit, but for a long time, they've been doing minimal work, especially since they changed to being like 7,000 Z power when Purple Vegeta got his Zenkai, Red Trunks got his. That's when they really started doing minimal work. Okay, so like, it is what it is. But there's not going to be some huge change coming. But again, applied equip is available to him, and also he has. Let me say this too. He has access to a crap ton of Zenkai buffs. No, they did not create Zenkai buffs to be ran that way. That was something we on YouTube started doing, and everybody kind of started catching on to it. I'm not saying this to be any sort of way, but I genuinely think I was the first person to do that idea, and just kind of, at least on a public platform. I can't say for everybody in their own privacy, right? But then it just obviously picked up and stuff like that way back, right? So like, that picks up, and he has access to a crap ton of those, and his teams have characters that if you really want to use, you can excel with characters like Vados and give him a crap ton of support. So like, these are the reasons why they also held back, because he wasn't going to be better. They didn't want to make him better anyway. He could have been. They didn't want to make him better than their top dog, their main blue guy, right? They had to leave some wiggle room for the future. He has access to powerful allies, things like that. Vegito Blue is underwhelming, but I understand why. Even just giving him null cover change alone would have made him a little busted, but they shouldn't have given him next to nothing in the new passives. Yeah, so like, getting that, okay, this is an argument I've heard a lot, is getting that mechanic would have made him busted. My mindset is the whole damn game is busted, okay? There is no balance in this game, so I don't know why they pick and choose, oh, we're gonna balance X character. And then also I hear, oh, he's not crazy, he's not broken, he's a balanced Zenkai. What the hell does that even mean, dude? What that means is underwhelming in relation to the rest of the game. I'll tell you, because this is a game that gave up the idea of having balance in it years ago, okay? This game doesn't care about that, so why should you? So my mindset is, screw it. Make every character freaking, they don't gotta all be Android 17 and 18, but they all can be, equivalent to, I don't know, top 15, 20, top best characters in that area, right? We have characters like Green Gold and Frieza, who's in probably the top 10 for a lot of people, and myself included if I were to redo my list. Anyways, but like, this is a 1% non-premium character. The Gamma 1 and 2 characters, you're not going to see them in PvP because nobody's selling on that banner. But they're really freaking good. There are a lot of good characters that exist, and this game gave up balance a long time ago, so that doesn't mean anything. All that means is they didn't do a damn thing to the character, okay? Balance Zenkais is not a thing. Zenkais are, at this point, primarily made to be secondary options. So this is why, like I was saying in the beginning, they waited until they had Ultra Gogeta in the game to do this. If you notice, people were scared as hell of Sun Family, and back in the day, whenever they did their Zen, it wasn't even that long ago, like 8 months or 6 months, whatever, when they did the Goten Zenkai, they waited until they had the revived Gohan in circulation, right? So like, they do these things on purpose. They're trying to say, oh, if you don't have our premium 0.25% pull rate character, here's your next best deal. Or if you do have them at a low star rate, you can't actually get them higher, here's your next best deal, especially with them being free characters nowadays. Well, not free Z-Power, but you know, the Awakening Z-Power. Like, they're doing these for a reason. And like, if you look back, Androids came out and then all of a sudden it's, oh, Fusion 13's coming out. They're not dropping Fusion 13 Zenkai for you to Zenkai buff the androids. Sure, you can do that, but they're dropping it, even though he's not anywhere near close, they're dropping it for a secondary option for the same teams, if you get the point. So yeah, like, I mean, this wouldn't have made him, I mean, it would have made him good, but it wouldn't have made him broken. Every character in the game freaking does this. That's my point. Like, it's not a thing of making him too good, you know? Like, it's a little contradictory to what I was saying with them leaving wiggle room, but like, this specific argument, right? I don't disagree with it, but so what? The whole game is like that, you know? I feel like everyone is complaining that he doesn't have cover null. I don't get it. Not every unit needs cover null. Okay, so let me say this. Okay, not every unit technically can't excel with cover null. Because like, if we look at LF Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, who actually is getting a lot of talk in relation to this guy, let me make one thing clear. Vegeta is actually really good. I had him as a top 10 character in the game. Vegeta's incredible. And the thing is, he doesn't have cover null either. I will acknowledge that, but Vegeta's job is a tad bit different, okay? Vegeta doesn't have a combo starting green, for starters, okay? That green card is largely worthless if you get knocked back instantly. Just keeping it a buck. The stuff in there is good, like the cancel buffs, blah, blah. But again, you can't do anything after that. But nonetheless, Vegeta doesn't have that. Vegeta doesn't have the same mechanic where he force draws cards, which literally means you have to be a combo damage dealer. However, Vegeta is a combo damage dealer with draw speed, I believe, built into his kit, but he's also built as a sustained character with all the healing he can do, the solid defensive stats. He's built as a character that can be built as a tank, but his primary function is to switch in off a blast and use that damn ult to snipe kill. Vegito Blue, to his credit, can snipe kill too with a blue card, with a lock on the blue card, but the playstyle is different. The functionality is different. Vegito Blue is a character that is designed to be using those strikes, and not only using them, but have blast armor as well to have that utility to get you started. See, like, the idea is different. So Vegeta's a character that excels and is fine without it, even though he does struggle, because if you don't have it, you're going to struggle. It's just, it is what it is. But the threat of, if I switch, you know, maybe it'll be a drop combo, then I'm gonna lose this character, exists with both these characters, but it's probably a little more relevant with Vegeta. But I come from the idea that we get to the point in this game where, if I'm being honest, it feels like every character, it feels like, needs to have access to a Nullify Endurance or cover changes getting there now. Like, the game has evolved to the point where so many characters have XYZ, so to compete with said characters and not just be a character that's played with for a couple of days and then moved on and never seen from again, you have to have some of these things, right? You see characters that come out nowadays, they have some combination of all the best stuff. They have, like, what are their best things? Nullify XYZ, Nullify Endurance, whatever. I can't put Revive there because only one character has that currently. But, like, nullifying mechanics, like cover changes, endurance, things like that. And then also having those mechanics yourself, special cover changes, endurances. You see these characters have 4 or 5 of these things built into their kits, and they're starting to be really overwhelming because, again, like I said, the game doesn't care about balance. All right, I think the power creep really got us wanting Vegito Blue to be absolutely broken like a Super Gogeta or something, when all he needed was stat boost and Nullify Cut, Nullify Change Recovery. Yeah, well, he didn't get that last one, but I see the 3 dots there. So let's keep it moving. So we got my boy here. I'm glad they didn't go overboard with him. He's good, but won't be as much of a nuisance as before. He was not fun to fight nor use back then. Okay, so like, let me comment on this briefly. So I also saw this sentiment a little bit that, oh yeah, he is not what he was before, and I don't know if there's virtually anything they could have done to make him that big of a nuisance as he was in the 2-year format, because the format itself is different. You got to remember, if you weren't playing back then anyway, but if you were, you got to remember the format was different. The climate was different. Like the characters in the game, he was the pinnacle of power in this game. And it's not just that he was the best character in the game. He was doing things these characters were not able to do back then. Was he the first character nullifying covers at all? Which cover rescue was relevant. Purple Bojack was in almost every match because movies with him and Yellow Gohan was very powerful. Like he was doing things other characters simply couldn't do. You could also only switch one time in a cover. So if you burned your cover, you switched the wrong character, him and Kefla were going to eat you alive. Like the climate was different. So he really, unless he was going to be better than Ultra Gogeta, better than the androids, I don't see how he gets back to being even that big remotely of a menace, because the game has changed so much with the way things work, right? He's pretty solid / balanced. See, yeah, I see this balanced word, but I think what that means for people is not bad, not broken, which maybe that's the definition. But when I hear that word in my mind, I'm just like, they don't care about balance. It just means they didn't do enough, you know? I don't think every character needs to be broken, right? Like, I'm really happy with the Krillin we got, for example. As a huge Krillin fan, I think he's awesome, even though he doesn't really do good damage. But, like, I don't think we need every character to be broken. But, like, if you're going to tell me X character is this good, because that's how people are even going as far as saying he's, like, top 10, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll entertain you, but, like, how? Like, how does he get there? Because, like, he has some awesome stuff. His kit was good. But how? Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the anniversary units are fine. It was a little greedy of them to make 2 of them a drop rate. The events are a little... This is more probably a comment for the other one. But I do think that Vegito Blue Zenkai, although not stellar, is essentially free. Hated the old Zenkai system. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, the free system is definitely better. I'm not going to argue that, but yeah. Vegito was not updated to today's meta. They should be the purpose, or that should be the purpose of Zenkais. This meta requires, like I said earlier, he's saying it tier 2, nullify cover actions for 10 counts at minimum, even start comboing. That was really all he needed. The rest of the anniversary summed up should require less grinding. Pretty good. They intentionally held back on stuff because they knew anything more and it could easily make him broken again. I've already talked about that idea. Card draw speed, broken. Cover null, broken. Reminds me of Green Vegeta, not much in terms of changes, but still a solid Zenkai. Again, like I've already kind of talked about most of the stuff here that Youngblood is saying, so in my opinions on it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But I mean, to an extent, I agree they held back, but I don't think it was because it would be too good. I don't agree with the notion that it would be too good, right? I think the reasons why players say he's misunderstood, blah, blah, is because they overestimated him when his Zenkai got announced and started making exaggerating videos saying he's going to break the meta, but now they got disappointed and tried to convince themselves. So, like, yeah, I saw that sentiment a lot, too, was he was going to be I'm so scared of him, he's going to be the best character. And, like, I wasn't particularly... I'm not scared of any Zenkai anymore. I'll tell you this, like, a year ago, sure, but I'm not anymore because we have a huge mountain of evidence that they really don't... They try not to play. I mean, like, there's so many characters that give Zenkai that are just still bad. Especially old ones. Like, you know, you can put them in their peak situation and have all this stuff and make them look good because they're still Zenkais with those super high stats, right? In relation to the rest of the game. But they're not good kits, right? So yeah, I didn't think he would be that, so I'm not really scared of any Zenkai anymore. Not even a character like Green Instant Transmission Goku, who is talked about as a character that should never get a Zenkai. I mean, I guess maybe I'd be scared of Yellow Gohan, just because, or Green Bardock, because the lock is so long. So I'm not trying to get locked. That's about it. But yeah, like I saw a lot of hyping him up too. And also another thing too is. Maybe they didn't really... I mean, it's still going to happen because he's Vegito Blue. Maybe they didn't want to have another powerful times 10 blue character in circulation when their new anniversary character that they only really dropped. Only really him. Vegeta's there, but yeah. But, like, he's red, right? So Vegito needs a Zenkai. Value depends on your enemy's team of melee units, and he constantly switches. Your damage is probably the highest in the game. If they bring a support, you can get draw speed. If you have range of units / cover changes, then this unit isn't even top 10 then. So yeah, he says, okay, if you get the specific matchups, Vegito is a menace, which he is. He's got that passive where he gets a lot of buffs. 40%. If you got a team of strike characters, whoo, boy. If he entered, let's just say he entered off of your switch versus a melee character and they switch into another melee character, then damn, you're getting 80%. So like this is where, but the thing is you can't determine this matchup. So it just depends on their team composition, which is largely RNG based, I guess. Also, but I will give him credit. He has a lot of damage and inflicted buffs like he has this year, which is pretty relevant because there's Fusion Warrior matches and characters in a lot of matches, excuse me. They did allow for his Zenkai stuff to be non-cancelable, which is good. Even though they're all pretty time-gated still, he has a lot of damage just throughout his kit. And a lot of it is predicated on that mechanic of whoever he's versus at a time. So he can pick up draw speed, things like that, but it just depends on where he's at. But he says here, if they have powerful characters that do a lot of cover changes, then he's not even top 10. Yeah, it's just, you struggle with these types of characters. Zenkais are pathetic now. Before they were way too OP and broken, and now they're just trash and feel pointless. This game is just rubbish now. Donkai is 7 years old. Oh, we're going to get into a Dokkan comparison, okay? They're not meant to be competitors, by the way. They're meant to coexist. So, yeah, Zenkais aren't very good. Super lazy. They aren't even trying with Zenkais anymore. His new uniques are duds for the most part, and his Zenkai isn't meaningful like LFS3 Goku or LF Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Even if Zenkais are free now, this VV doesn't make me want to summon and chase that 7-star like the others did. Another example of a good LF Zenkai is Super Vegito. Enough changes to his kit to make him interesting. He's still very good and not super broken either. He lived up to the hype more than VB did. Should mention that Vegito is pretty well balanced, just not exciting at all with his minimal changes. Even moving his cover null to his main and making it 10 counts or so would have been enough. Yeah, like, they don't do this. They never do this. I didn't expect this. But just simply doing that, it would have been crazy. It would have been good. It would have been something like people would not have complained as like even half as much as they are if they did just that simple move of the effect, right? Super Vegito is an interesting one. So Super Vegito got his Zenkai like 6 months ago or something like that. It's been a while. But he, as a character, that his main thing was he just needed cards. But let's see the changes they. I can't really go through all the changes because they actually changed a lot of things about him. But the big thing, well, not a lot, but enough things about him. But the big thing that they did was, I love this change here to allow allies to get the damage inflicted buff. Oh my god, I love that effect. It's only 10%, but it stacks pretty nicely. But the new uniques, Plaze effects when he enters the battlefield, restores ki and gets a card and gets draw speed. Vegito just needed cards. They gave him a way to get cards. That's all he truly needed, comboing that with the stat upgrade, right? And then they gave him card cost down, which obviously helps with the combo ability and some cut and some damage. So like, it's not a very massive change. Vegito himself also does not have access to that mechanic of null covers, but he's able to be competitive, excuse me, because of the way he plays. And he's fine with that. Vegito Blue is competitive too, don't get me wrong, but it's just Vegito Blue's playstyle is a little different. He's, again, a combo starter with the blast armor and stuff like that. VB is a good Zenkai. He didn't need much to become relevant again. That was my point. Just the status, the Zenkai stats, and the boost helped him deal a lot more damage. The passives are not incredible, but like I said, he doesn't need too much. Yeah. So the stat upgrade and what they gave him is perfectly fine. If they just gave him that one mechanic for literally 10 to 15 seconds, he's fine. Nobody's complaining. Anyways. But again, maybe the equip comes out. They should have saved the Zenkai and just gave him a plat. That's an interesting one. That's kind of my idea as well. I like Vegito Blue, although not as broken as I want him to be, which was has me disappointed. I hope a future plat makes him at least top 15. Okay. He's good, but feels forced as his teams don't require a new blue unit. That's true. I would, well, God Key. Well, Beerus is there. Anyways, I would have preferred somewhere else. And also about Zenkais themselves, they really should find a balance because LF Zenkais now are dragged by stats, and their base kits, all of the Zenkais are just bad and a bench. Yeah, pretty much. He's good, nothing special, doesn't replace anyone on his teams except for probably God Key. He can look really good, but I prefer this sort of Hope Trunks, and definitely Ultra Gogeta over him. Those units can look just as good, if not better. Yep. I should not have asked myself if VB's Zenkai is better than Super Vegito's. VB's Zenkai should have been made, excuse me, so that it would be obvious within a. Oh, I should not have to ask. Okay, he's saying that the Zenkai should have been made to where it's obvious he's better than Super Vegito. But all I can say for sure is that VB is at least barely better than Super Vegito. He isn't bad, though. Super Vegito's pretty good. Like, don't get me wrong, he's pretty good. Honestly, Vegito Blue has a pretty decent Zenkai. He's more that balanced word. It really gets thrown around a lot. Balanced and being ridiculously broken and not busted up. So yeah, like my definition is a little different, but I get why people say it, I guess. The anniversary has been terrible. The rest of this is for the other comment. These LF Zenkais look mid in the beginning, but then end up being top 10, just like Vegito. And Vegeta is, I think, he's very good. Okay, so like I'm not gonna deny the idea that people play with these characters and have opinion changes. That's human nature. That's how these things work, right? My opinion is pretty solid because I've played probably like 70 matches with Vegito at this point throughout my videos and off camera stuff like that. So my opinion is what it is. But I'm sure people will change, and I'm not the one that, you know, majority of people listen to. So maybe people will change, but I don't see it personally. I just don't. And that's not a bad thing. When you say something like that, people are like, oh, it's not a bad thing. You don't have to jump to dude's defense, dude. You don't got to do that. It's not a bad thing. It's just there could have done more. But again, there's leeway. Definitely good, but I feel he could have gotten more and still be fine. Cover null, clear his throat. I mean, look at Gogeta in 17 and 18. 17 and 18 is insane. He only struggles to find a place in Fusion Warriors. The rest of his teams, I think he is fine, especially in the offensive build. And I was saying that a lot, but with the way they handle Zenkais nowadays, it was very hard for him to be anything close to what he used to be. So I think that's why people are overreacting. What makes me so mad is how everyone forgot Gogeta existed and thinks UI needs a counter. Yeah, well, Gogeta kind of like, he's only been on like 2 banners, and he hasn't come back in a few months. So if you don't have him, you're still missing one of the best characters in the game. He needed a cover change nullify, and he would have been fine, but they were lazy with him. So far, I'm happy because obviously the best fusion is back on top meta once more, but I also want my LF Krillin, man. Vegito Blue is fine, especially if they decide to drop a plat for him. He's in the 10 to 15 range IMO, which is good, and I guarantee you the people calling him trash would be whining and crying if he was top 3. Would they? Huh. Would people... Let me know what you guys think. Would people be mad if the people that are mad right now about him not being better, would they be mad if he was a good bit better? Maybe not top 3, because like that's getting into Summonable Ultra and then 17 and 18 and whoever else you have in that area, maybe MUI. But okay, let's say he was at least equivalent to MUI Goku. Would people be mad? I don't really think I'd be mad. Like I said earlier, I feel like the whole game should be there. Not everybody, but most of these premium characters at least. Just because he was broken, it has to happen all over again. I'm actually happy that they make him balance this time around because it was horrible playing against him. Take an example, androids, they're too broken and I'm the most annoying out there. Yeah, androids are easily the most annoying unit to play against in my opinion. If you're versus a good android player anyway. God, man, they combo endlessly. They get so much vanish. They destroy their Dragon Balls. They just nullify cover changes. They just, oh my God, this character. Goodness. Just get out of the game. Just like, oh my God, dude, they are something else, dude. He did not get his Zenkai. He got a balance change. They take his kid a tad bit for the extra stats, gave him 2 terrible uniques and called it a day. The funny thing about balance changes, which were the predecessor to Zenkais before they realized they can monetize it. Anyways, balance changes, those characters, they were so really bad afterwards, by the way, but they at least changed their Z abilities. They at least changed the Z abilities. Vegito is highly underrated, or heavily, excuse me. I'd say he's on the level of LF Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Zenkai, but maybe slightly worse, but he's definitely top 5 Zenkais at least. Top 5 Zenkais? Sure, that's fine. They didn't need to do too much to make him good again in the first place. So I think if you're gonna say he's underrated, I think you need to understand though that people aren't really saying he's bad in particular. People are saying, I guess some people are, but like they only have really one problem. That's why in the very beginning I mentioned it, and in my videos I mentioned it, because the thing is like you instantly notice it when you play with him. You instantly notice it, and it's like you notice with other characters, but more so with Vegito Blue because it's extremely relevant to his type of play style. So, yeah. pathetic Zenkai with two uniques that combined barely feel like a good new one. But his previous kit and status upgrade were enough to make him good, not great, but useful. Also, his main damage reduction being cancelable and time gated nowadays is trash. Agreed. I really feel like VB Zenkai and buffs now being unclearable is nice, since they always going to be something that's around. They will be, except for after, what, 20 counts? Blast armor on his green is okay, I guess. Yeah, that changes. That changes very bleh to me. Because I'm not really trying to use it from neutral personally. I'm trying to use my strikes. But you could use it after. Might catch some people slipping sometimes. Yeah, it has some utility. Like after you did a vanish or something, it has some utility. Overall, pretty solid. Yeah, I think this finally cements that SS4 Gogeta's unique equipment came out. That LF unique equipment is better than LF Zenkai's. I mean, if they're gonna be as good as Gogeta's or Cell's, then sure. Sure. It is what it is. Those equips are insanely good, and they fit exactly what the characters needed. I feel they're very disappointed with VB Zenkai. I honestly wanted them to make him the second or third best unit in the game, because in my opinion he deserves it, but instead they made him practically nothing. He's not even going to be a relevant Zenkai for a long time like Gohan, SS3, and Super Vegito have become. And 2 or 3 weeks he'll be forgotten. No, you'll still be seeing him because he's Vegito Blue. Only seen VB once, just find weird they released a blue Zenkai after a major red unit release. Yeah, that was pretty weird. The devs definitely watered him down because VB should feel like Zenkai Zamasu. He's saying Zenkai Zamasu is a better Zenkai. Zenkai Zamasu was another character they didn't really do much to, which coincidentally they came out at the same time. They really didn't do much to this kid, but again, they gave him kind of pretty much what he needs. So yeah. Anniversary talk here. Not much talk about VB. Here he is. Vegito Blue, the star Zenkai of the anniversary being very lackluster and not on par with the latest Zenkai LFs. And they're talking about some other stuff there. Do you think VB Zenkai was really needed? I used him before Zenkai and he was still pretty solid. I did a video a couple of weeks ago. We're going to answer a few more of these, by the way, if you've been listening through, thank you. I did a video a couple of weeks ago. Check it out. And I used him. And I left that video thinking what I said in the beginning of this video. I don't know if he actually truly needs a Zenkai. He certainly needed to get his stats upgraded. But you could do that through a good equipment. A good equip. Not one of those bad ones. But it can't. The thing is, let me say this with equips. People need to understand something as well. Maybe it would work for Vegito because his baseline is so good. But let me go to is there a tag for Legends Limited? Yeah. So a lot of these characters have equips, a lot of them don't. But they've tried to fix characters with equips before, right? So Beerus was a character who came out and was bad, and he got probably the first unique equip in the game. I don't know if it was or not, but he got the first one or one of the first ones, and then they gave him this 30% health, special move, and ultimate damage, all crazy. Which, by the way, Cell and Gogeta's also have like this type of stuff, but they also have inflicted damage as a buff, which is crazy to see. It's very uncommon. So yeah, that's also why those equips are incredibly good. Anyways, they got a freaking damage passive built into the equips. Like they're crazy good. Anyways, so this wasn't enough, as you imagine, to fix them. So they turned around, and when Awakening came out, it was one of the first equips. This thing got set to 40% of these stats. 40% on strike attack for Beerus is whatever, because he's not even a strike damage dealer. But Beerus is a character that was, with his Zenkai, when he came out with the Zenkai anyway, the best character in the game, right? But that was because the climate of the game was a little different. There weren't very many Zenkais, right? So when we got more, it's like, oh, he's not as good. And then Cooler became the best Zenkai in the game, the best character in the game. And now they're pretty much both pretty bad. So long story short, they've tried to fix characters with equipments. So that's not the be-all, end-all. Similar story to Beerus with this guy. And he coincidentally got an extremely similar equipment. This guy was pretty bad on release. Sorry, Rye, it's not loading here. But they tried really hard to fix him with an equip similar to that. It wasn't enough. So if you're gonna give Vegito Blue, I think this wouldn't apply to because his base is so good still. With the blast armor and the strike draws, like these are things. The strike draw is still a thing characters aren't really even doing. So he's a couple years old, and they've pretty much kept that mechanic unique to him. So it's not loading. But like, I think it would work for him personally. But if they're gonna give a character an equip like Cell's or like Gogeta's, then that's fine. Let me show you just Cell's as a reference, because Cell's took Cell from being a underwhelming Zenkai to being one of the best characters in the game, easily. Look at all this stuff. 25% defenses, both stats. Key recovery up to 25, critical up to 25, strike and blast up to 25. Inflicted damage up to 20. This is literally, is this every freaking stat except for health, which is at the bottom? Is that literally every single stat in the game? That's what that is, right? Up to 25%. And then he gets more health restoration. And then they give him this effect, which before Gogeta came out, this didn't even make any sense. Like, they started adding effects here that should not be on equipment. And they said, oh, we're going to give you access to a faster gauge or a partially filled gauge to begin, so he can now fill the gauge sooner, which is all he really needed because his gauge was extremely slow. And then you really topped the character off and made him better. And another character that got an equip that was really good is this guy, SS4 Goku. You don't see him very much because he does have some decent competition, but his equip is pretty good too, man. He got some good stats, up to 35% on the defenses. He gets an inflicted damage here as well. And then he gets some pure attack and double attack, excuse me, based on the team members, and that's always good to have. So like, his isn't as good as Cell's in theory, but if they're gonna do something like that, then that's perfect. So let's read a few more. I feel like if a character is underwhelming, we should have a say in getting that said character a boost. Back in the second anniversary, people complained about VP being too good because there weren't much cover change characters and you could only swap once. And like I said, the climate of the game was so different back then. Every character, like he said, nowadays has a stupid special cover change. That's the big thing, is every character has a stupid cover change now. They just slap it on you. Like, it's just like, here's a cover change. Not every character, like Frieza, the Gammas, they don't got it. They're really recent characters. But most of the previous characters all got a special cover change. It is something that these characters have by default. You know, Nullify Endurance was a very cute thing very few characters had, and then it became a thing that was actually so common that it became shocking when a character didn't have that mechanic added on his kit. Think about that, right? So, that's where cover changes are. Not gonna lie, seeing how Vegito Blue Zenkai turned out, and they should give him his unique equipment, that in the third slot of the equipment he can nullify cover changes after 10 counts and get a strike boost. Like, yeah, they can totally do that. Vegito Zenkai just made him Gogeta Light. I feel like they were afraid of another VB incident where he ruled the meta. That's, again, that just really isn't possible. But yeah, well, he'd have to be better than Ultra Gogeta, which again, just that I don't see it. I don't see that being possible. Like, it's extremely hard to be better than Ultra Gogeta or to be relevant to him, and very few characters are in that area. It's extremely hard because the kits are so good. And I don't want to overrate Gogeta. I hope that's not what people are taking. It's just, if you go back and read his kit, just go read it. It's like, and he's not the only character. This applies to Kaioken, Androids we talked about. MUI is, I think, worse than them, but he's really damn good. He's up there somewhere. So like, these characters are incredibly good. And they wanted to keep you summoning, of course, for the newer units because of the raid. Screw the raid. Yeah. I can't believe they released a celebration around an EX rarity MUI. Oh, and a hero rare SSJ and Vegeta and Urine, which with the different spelling there. Oh my god. This Zenkai feels like if he already had a good ass plat equip. Yeah. Vegeta Blue's unique equip needs to come soon. The fact they didn't give him any sort of cover change notification, not on his green or any of the two unique abilities on his main ability, really shows how scared they were to change anything on the guy that would make it too OP. Zenkais are slowly dying at this point. They're just stat boosts with no extra passives. Yeah, they're free, but they take time to get them to Zenkai 7 and Soul Boost. It's free, but not really. Yeah, you pay with your time. I think Vegito Blue was still pretty good pre-Zenkai, so even if they didn't change much at all, he's going to be amazing just due to the insane stats. Yeah, like, oh, I didn't know if I ever finished that, but I did a video, and he looked all right. With all the Dragon Ball IP-based games being affected by the movie delay, it feels like Vegito Blue was the last-second shoe-in to the... I'm not giving them that damn excuse, dude. I'm going to talk about this in the next video. I'm not giving them the excuse, especially on a character Zenkai. Like, that's the last place I'm going to give you the excuse. I'm not giving them an excuse of, oh, the movie was delayed. The movie was delayed. Because the problem with that excuse is it's becoming the default for every single thing. Oh, the movie switch up made them have to do this instead of that, and then this happened, and that happened, and this. And sure, behind the scenes, I'm sure they had to jumble things up. But this is a multi-million-dollar game. Just this game. Not even talk about Dokkan because that's not even relevant to the video. This game. They've known for months that the schedule has shifted. It doesn't take them months to make a kit for a damn Zenkai character. So in this scenario specifically, I'm not giving them that excuse, right? Quiet as it's kept, I'm only really going to give them the excuse for the character order that came out, because I feel like Jiren was probably supposed to come out during the anniversary with Goku. I feel like the androids are probably supposed to come out after the anniversary because that's how good they are. I feel like they probably had to shift things up a good margin to make things work. I'll give them that. But the rest of it, the events, all that stuff, the way that it's handled, monetization, I'm not giving them the, oh, superhero was delayed excuse, because at a point, that's just an excuse is what it is. It's not a legitimate reason. It was a reason, and it is a reason for shifting up of schedules, but it doesn't mean that everything has to be worse. And if that didn't happen, these things would be 10 times better than they are now, because that's just not how things are. At a point, they were going to do these things anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was already planned, you know? So they probably had to move up their timeline with the releases, and that's mainly what's affecting. They probably never intended for him to Zenkai now, and they just threw some random crap as uniques. No, I'm not. No, because they do this honestly quiet as it's kept for a lot of Zenkais. They kind of just don't really do anything, and some of them works better than others, and other ones it doesn't work as good. It doesn't take them any longer time, I imagine, to add crap uniques versus just copying a mechanic from another character and putting it there. They could copy freaking the code for whoever's third or fourth slot and just literally put it there and make it work. They do minimal work on Zenkais anyway. Like, you're not going to tell me that it takes them some incredible amount of time. Let's just say more than a day. You're not going to tell me it takes more than a day longer to say, okay, we're going to copy this animation, not this animation, but this effect, the code for it, and apply it there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they're building something from the ground up. It's just they're just slapping it on there. That's why a lot of these characters, by the way, have all these same mechanics anyway. Because once one character gets it, multiple characters get it, because once it's already in the game, it's 10 times easier to produce it and replicate it, right? It is what it is. That's how it works. They don't have to redo it from the ground up. For example, just on an idea, I saw a video with UI Goku's unique cover change animations, and he has one built for every single strike animation in the game because he has to, right? So they took the time to do that. Then when the second UI Goku comes out, do you think they redid that? Or do you think they just copied it? And then just kept it going from there, because every time a new character comes out, by the way, with a different animation, I'm sure they have to go back and patch in that for UI Goku, just specifically. Even if he's not even getting used, they have to do it. But do you think they built those all from the ground up with MUI, or do you think they just copied it? Seriously. No. It's the same character model, everything. It's a little different looking, but they just copied it, obviously, right? So like it doesn't take them a billion years to do these things. They changed nothing except for stats. This is why you need it to be usable till next Legends Festival. That's another 6 months. On passive 3, reduce damage by more than 10%. Health is fine. Per defeated ally. Okay. So that would be 30 as last man. And reduce damage and cost down. So the thing about the per defeated mechanics is they typically reset on Switch. So this is actually cheesable. Like if you lose an ally but you still have another one, you can constantly enter and heal. So like those are really good. Like they're on like Zenkai Red Super Saiyan Goku, one of the original Zenkais. You know that guy? It's like really good. So I don't know if they would give him that, but yeah. When faced with an enemy, get 20 ki and damage, and ult gives 20 count. So this one I don't really mind as much, but he has a lot of damage potentially because he already has this passive technically on passive 2, right? But it's just matched up dependent. And then there's the inaugural nullify covers. IDK haven't played Legends for a few days. Okay. I feel like he's okay. He still has a plat to revive him and an awakened plat. Yeah, so like he just really needs cover null. Yeah, they had leeway with that. VB Zenkai is good. He didn't need that many changes. Okay. I quite like what they did with him. He's good, but not frustrating good to the point where it's not fun to fight him. He didn't need much to begin with, so I personally think they did a good job. They didn't do a bad job, right? They didn't do a bad job. It's just they could have done a better job while also still not making him too good, right? There's an area that exists there, in my opinion. He seems decent since his base kit was already good. I would say it's better to run Sword of Hope Trunks over him if Trunks is at least 8 stars. I say this as someone who personally owns him at 13 stars, so I'm maybe a little biased. I agree. Just need a cover null and some damage reduction on entry. He doesn't have damage reduction on entry. His defensive stats are like almost like 170,000, so he's relying on that, I guess, for defense. I've been saying the plat equips are focused towards solving new character flaws, not reviving old ones. They need a Zenkai, and that's VB's case, so I didn't understand why people asked for a plat. I've talked a lot about plats in this video. It's just plats have been used multiple ways. The only plat he has access to is like a defensive one, right? But it doesn't have to even be a specific stat. Well, I mean, you really want to get the unique plat for him only. But like, they could be used for whatever. I don't think he's bad, but he's nowhere near as good as he should. Not saying top 1 of the game, but top 10 at least. They gave him last man standing passes where there are better last man standings on his teams, and his playstyle dies when he's the last man. He can't switch and he can't combo. That's another thing. If he's the last man, he's not getting that passive to strike draw. I noticed that too when I had him as a last man. It's like, oh, I would win right here if I got that extra couple cards, but I won't, so I can't. I can't, so I won't, you know? Underwhelming. I said I'd read a few more. We've gone for another 15 minutes. There's a lot of comments, dude. This already actually is an hour. Wow, I didn't even think it was going that far. Oh, man. I'm going to read Lewis and Billy here, and we're done. And that actually probably is going to take me an hour. Wow. Sorry about that. His Zenkai turned. I'll definitely make sure the next one isn't this long. His Zenkai turned out pretty decent. Nothing changed. / too much added. Stat increase definitely helped him, but not having a way to nullify enemy cover changes definitely hurts him a lot. And no free VBZ power on the anniversary is disappointing. Yeah, I agree. And Billy, he has a video as well. So Billy, if you guys don't know, plays a crap ton of PvP. Always ranks highly. He's a very good player, so his opinion means a lot. Heavily being undermined at the moment. He's an excellent Zenkai. People are calling him quote-unquote mid due to poor team comps and equips. VB is Zenkai buffed by Namek Goku and EX Broly on the bench, and 2 combo support buffs from FG. Future Gohan. It's part of the game, so utilize it. He's meant to deal what? He's meant to deal what, Billy? Where did it go? Heavy damage off the rip and dip. While Sword of Hope is meant to be a tank and play more for the end game, I mentioned that earlier, they purposely held back on VB knowing units like Future Gohan and Vados will support him, and they do a good job at it. He may be mid, quote-unquote, without support, but why hold back? People need to utilize support. Okay, so I'm going to say this from the perspective of a YouTuber. There are often times where, not just myself, but all of us can make characters look very, very good and better than they probably should look. Because we're going to put these characters in their peak scenario with ideally the best equipment we have access to, and a lot of us have them at a high star level. We're going to use support. We're going to do all these things that he's saying to really maximize it. Is that a problem in particular? No. Is it misleading? Yes, because that's on a per player basis. And then also, a lot of times using supports characters like Vados, who's really good, it's actually not a thing where I'm watching this video while I'm talking. He's doing good damage to Vegeta. It's not a thing where I assume this one shots. Anyways, using characters like that, it's not a thing where like that's the best character available for that team, right? You know, like if I'm using like let's say God Key, Vados is what, like the 4th or 3rd best green as an option. So you're literally going out of your way to do these things. So he's saying people should utilize it, and I don't disagree, but it is a little misleading if you're going to say he looks that good and he's able to do these things with that type of peak scenario. And not only that, in Billy's case, he gave him a Zenkai buff, so he's going above and beyond, right? He's going above and beyond with that, and that's actually ×2 because he already has one. And then on top of that, he gave him a 50% strike attack buffer. I assume he's at 14 star with the Broly. So like, these are things that obviously you can really make him pop. But again, you could do that for, like I said, a lot of characters in the game. So I don't really think that's a feather in the cap for Vegito. I don't really think it's an indictment otherwise, but like just context, right? So I think he's good, but I think also with this game, a lot of the discourse revolves around, is that character the best character for their team? You've heard me mention that idea several times. But the thing is, where the split is for me and other people, is people will tell you X character is mid or trash or bad, some sort of like, not derogatory, but bad phrasing for the character, saying they're not that good. But I'll tell you that I think even if a character is a 2nd or 3rd, there's nothing wrong with that. How many times have I said that in this video, right? So I think that the community as a whole, in a lot of cases, not everybody, but a lot of cases will tell you a character is horrible or bad or mid or whatever, one of these bad words, if they're not the best version or not the best character for that color for their team, right? So let's use an example of a character I've been playing with recently. I've been using Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 off camera a good bit. There are going to be some videos with them soon. But like, I think they're really good. I think they're an excellent character, an excellent Zenkai. They have flaws, right? But they're solid. You're never going to see them. And most people aren't going to speak highly of them because they're not, like I said, the best character for their teams. They have good competition, like these things that exist. But that doesn't mean two things can't be true. That doesn't mean they can't have good competition, but also still be a good character, right? Yeah, that's the divide. That's just one case, right? And I think this guy's going to fall into some of those same cases as well with Ultra Gogeta. He's free on, I think he's free on God Key because most people probably don't have Beerus. But if you have Beerus at a high star level, then maybe you even want to run him instead because Beerus has the lock and all these things. Beerus is actually pretty awesome. But like, I think this guy's going to fall into the same situation, right? So I agree with the idea that he's not mid or bad. I never wanted that to be the case for this video. So if you got that, especially in the beginning, forgive me. But I don't think he's special. I think he could have been better. I think they could have done more. I'm not giving them some damn excuses. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'm going to dip, guys. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see all of you guys next time.